looking at an overall view of the truck. We don't see any major damage. We make sure it's not leaning to one side or the other, which would indicate we had a flat tire or suspension problem. I'm looking under the truck for any puddles of fluid, whether it be oil, grease, coolant, or fuel. Oil, grease, coolant, or fuel. A little seepage on a diesel engine is pretty much normal when they get a few miles on them, but it shouldn't be dripping on the ground, right?
Sample.
Okay. My mirrors appear to be intact. They're not missing or loose or broken. My windshield doesn't appear to be broken, and my wiper blades are in place. Now, I've got 5 clearance lights at the top. All lights are clean, present, not damaged, and working properly. Now we're going to do each other light individually. I've got a reflector, a right turn signal, 4-way flasher, parking light, or clearance light. I got low beam, high beam headlights. I got a reflector there. On the left side, I got a reflector, a low beam, high beam headlight, left turn signal, 4-way flasher, parking light or clearance light, and a reflector on the outside. Again, all lights are clean, present, not damaged, working properly. Okay, now we'll unlatch the hood. One hand there, doesn't do something with your phone because you need both hands. Lift my finger just a little bit. This will help you. And take your other hand and guide it down. Okay. Don't let it fall because when them straps breaks, it'll hurt you bad. Always guide it down, and when you get ready to close it, put your foot in the bumper and just let your weight as a counterbalance so it don't slam, okay?
Yes, sir.
Good job. Guys, watch this. This will knock you out.
Yeah, I know.
It's just about eye level for some of us. Yeah. Some of us hits to the chin, but anyway. Okay. This is the alternator. It is securely mounted. These wires going to it are not cracked or frayed and securely attached. This is the belt. It's not cracked, frayed, or glazed. A glazed belt will have a shiny appearance, and sometimes little hairline cracks because it slipped and become polished. Deflection. Take your finger, press. 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. If it doesn't move at least 1/2 an inch, it's too tight, it could break. If it moves more than 3/4, it's too loose, it could slip. Straight down. Water pump. This is the water pump here. That's the gear drive for it, but that's the water pump. It is securely mounted, not leaking. All hoses connected to the water pump are not cracked, frayed, or leaking. Okay, give me a second. Exhaust system. This is the intake, but from the rear of the turbo back, as far as we can see, there's no broken, loose, or missing parts. There's no black soot that would indicate an exhaust leak. I'm gonna have a little 16 here, sorry about that. Okay, the next thing I think is listed on the paper is the air compressor, correct?
Oh, well.
This is your air compressor. This is what supplies the air, of course, for your air brakes.
Hit it again, right there.
This is the air compressor. It is a miniature engine. It's got a crankshaft, it's got a piston, and it's got a cylinder head. So like any engine, first thing I want to do is make sure it's securely mounted and there's no oil leaks, right? Okay, that takes care of the compressor. Now let's go to our hoses. As you can see, they're braided hoses. These are not cracked, frayed, or leaking. Of course, these will be leaking air, right? But the compressor's not leaking oil. Also, the older compressors were belt driven. This one you see obviously doesn't have a belt. It's gear driven. If it did have a belt, we'd make sure the belt's not cracked, frayed, or glazed. 1/2 to 3/4 inch deflection. Okay? The coolant. Notice it has a see-through reservoir. Now, If it does not have a clear reservoir, there may be a solid reservoir with a bubble or sight glass on it. Or the radiator may have a bubble or sight glass. Now, if it has neither of these, I'd remove not that cap, but the radiator cap, and make sure it was no more than 3 inches below the cap. Or, well, I'm going to look at it in the light, make sure it's not milky in color, make sure I don't see any foreign particles in it. 1540 Rotella, and it's not quite due for a change yet. Then I would wipe it off, stick it back in, pull out and get a level. Okay, it's got little hash marks on it when you can tell. If it's between add and full, what do we do?
Add a gallon.
No, absolutely not. Get that out of habit for your car, your motorcycle, your lawnmower, or whatever. If it's between those hash marks, between add and full, do not add oil to it. Too much oil takes away power and will do damage to your engine, right?
Okay.
Now, if it's below the add line or at the add line, we add this one. We add 1 gallon of 1540. 15W40 oil. But remember that. Between add and full, leave it alone. Okay. A lot of people mess their cars up like that and cause their check engine lights and stuff to come on because they'll overfill them. It'll be just a little bit low and they'll put a quart of oil in it and it's way over full, right? You put a gallon in this one, if you don't need it, it's going to be over full. Power steering fluid. Power steering fluid, we can see it's at the proper level. It doesn't appear to be leaking. My hoses are not crack, frayed, or leaking. Now I can go through the rest of the steering system. Steering linkage. It's secure, not broken or bent. Securely attached. Now we go steering gearbox. Securely mounted, not leaking. Here we go. Pitman arm. Drag link. It's long, right? Drags out. You'll see the steering knuckle turns like your knuckle does. Then it goes onto the spindle, which the tire spins on. Now across the back, we have a tie rod, which ties both axles together, makes both wheels turn at the same time. The tie rod attaches to the steering arm on each side. There should be no broken, loose, or missing parts. The exclusive thing about a steering system are castle nuts and cotter pins. That nut looks like a castle on a chest set. It's got a cotter pin that goes through it that won't let that nut loosen or back off, right? Can we go over that one more time? Steering linkage, gearbox, pitman arm, drag link, steering knuckle, spindle, tie rod attaches the steering arm. All castle nuts, cotter pins in place. Suspension. You see those long leaf springs. Every axle we said had leaf springs. They're not broken, missing, or misaligned. If a quarter or more was missing, we would put our vehicle out of commission or out of service. If you have springs, you've naturally got to have spring mounts on each end. We don't need to tell them whether they're hangers or shackles or whatever you want to call them. We just call them all spring mounts, okay? They're secure. There's no broken or loose missing parts, no missing bolts. U-bolts. They look like a U, and they go over the axle. They're not broken, loose, or missing. Now, this one, we get a bonus part here, which is a shock absorber, which is securely mounted, not leaking fluid. Now, we got a pretty good eyeball here on our brake parts. Hose, not cracked, frayed, or leaking. Chamber, securely mounted, not leaking. Okay, slack adjuster. No broken, loose, or missing parts. Pin and cotter pin attached to the push rod. With the wheels taut, parking brakes release, give me a second. I should be able to move it about 1 inch. Now this particular one, I don't know why it's still got a dust cover over it. Most of the time they take them off when they replace the brakes. Okay, but normally you can see the inside of the brake drum and see there's no cracks, no repair wells, no excessive debris. You can actually see the brake linings or pads, at least a 1/4 inch thick, and not an oil sack, not oil soaked or cracked. Now, rims. Well, let's go tires first. 9 tires. Inside and out, no cuts, bruises, or blisters. All 9 tires. 90 to 100 PSI, check with a tire pressure gauge. All 9 must have a metal valve cap on the valve stem. These are your steering tires. They have to be 4/32 tread depth, and they have to be virgin rubber, no recaps or retreads. Common sense will tell you, you want your best tires on the front, right? Because you blow one of them, you don't have one to back up with. Now the other one, since you got 2 side by side, is not quite as crucial. So 2/32 tread depth is okay on them, and they can be recaps or retreads, and usually are. Your rims. Inside and out, no bends, no cracks, no repair wells. Okay. Lug nuts, no streaks of rust would indicate a loose lug nut. And again, we have a rubber stopper, so that's what kind of seal?
Hub oil seal.
That's the hub oil seal because it's got that rubber stopper in the middle, right? It's not leaking. Okay. Driver fuel area. I like my truck because it's open here. This fuel tank's not covered. It's obviously securely mounted, and there's obviously no leaks, right? The fuel cap is securely tightened. There's no leaks here. The door, don't add or take away from this. It's securely, the mirror securely mounted. Door opens and closes properly. That's all. Okay? I told you every time we come to a light, we have to talk about it. I'm going to mention there's reflective tape on this step over here. This light here is clean, present, not damaged, working properly. This is a left turn signal. There's one also on the right. This is also a 4-way flasher and also a clearance light. Okay. Next, we should have coupling system. Turn the coupling system. We're going to back this up further by going look at it when it's uncoupled in a minute. Okay, first part of the coupling system that's important, of course, is the fact that we have to have the airlines connected. Now, they're securely connected to the cab. The airlines themselves are not cracked, frayed, or leaking. They're not tangled. The electrical line could hardly be leaking, but it's not cracked or frayed. The connection to the trailer is called the glad hand connections. These are glad hands. Okay, the red emergency, the blue service, and the green, of course, is electrical. Okay, they're at a 90-degree angle, they're secure, they're not leaking. Okay, moving back, let's go to the coupling system. Down the gravel. Ooh. Okay, this is the kingpin apron, that thick piece of steel that holds the kingpin in place. Can't miss it, right? The top of the fifth wheel is called the skid plate. It should be securely greased. Okay? This one does not have a sliding fifth wheel. I'll have to show you another truck. But the fifth wheel is connected to the slide mount, and the slide mount attaches to the platform, which is this piece of angle iron here on the bottom. Okay, if we do have a sliding fifth wheel, we'll make sure that the locking pins are in place. I'll show you those. But the main thing, all mounting bolts are in place. There's no broken, loose, or missing clamps, nuts, bolts, or washers. The release arm is in place. If equipped with a safety latch, we'll check it. Get up. Now, to further back this up, I want everybody to do a duck walk and go under the trailer behind the landing gear, not between there. Okay? Guys, never coupled, uncoupling, new driver, veteran driver, your worst day, don't ever walk between those two. Always leave the safety of the landing gear in between you, right? Okay, but I wouldn't, everybody would go part of the trailer. Because we're going to look at what they call the crotch at the top of the trailer. We'll see that the kingpin is in the crotch. The locking jaws are around the shank, not the head of the kingpin, which is that notch. The kingpin itself is not bent. There's no visible space between the upper and lower fifth wheel. And the skid plate again is properly greased. So we go one more time. Locking jaws around the shank, not the head of the kingpin. Kingpin's not bent. No visible space. Skid plate is properly greased. Now, while I've got you gathered in this particular position, let's go ahead and knock this out as long as your sheet that way. The very rear of the tractor. Okay? These are splash guards. Mud flap is not in the vocabulary of man. Splash guards. Just put it down and I look right back. We have lights. We have reflectors. We have reflector tape. Fifth wheel and slide mount attached to the platform. Platform mounts to the front.
This the fifth wheel.
That's the fifth wheel skid plate.
This the slide mount.
That's the slide mount.
This the platform.
That's the platform, and those are mounting bolts down at the bottom.
Okay. These right here. These
All the way across.
These the mounting bolts. This is the release, right?
Okay. And that little red piece is the safety latch.
Okay, that's the safety latch.
It may or may not be equipped with a safety latch. Okay. Locking pins.
Locking pins.
Okay. Okay. If y'all want to take a quick look at the outside of the other one, then we'll do the in-cabin air brake. Okay. Don't get where you kind of get your heads in there and look. Why don't you go on this one?
You're going to like what I do with this footage.
Do I?
You're going to like what I do with this footage.
Okay.
I do commercials.
Okay, good deal.
By lunchtime, at lunchtime.
Yeah, from the very bottom. Okay, that's your torsion bars. The 2 on the tractor run across. The 4 on the trailer run long ways. Okay. Brakes, same thing we had. This will have dual brake chambers because they're trailer axles. Slide it out, cut bruises or blisters. 90 to 100 psi, check for the tire pressure gauge, middle valve cap. These can be recaps or retreads, 230 seconds. Rims inside and out, no bends, cracks, or repair wells. Bud wheels, no spacers. Lug nuts have no streaks of rust, but indicate a loose lug nut, and the hub oil seal is not leaking. Fully mounted, not damaged. Back me up a little far here. Host of points here. Watch me carefully. I'm going doors. Doors. Then I'm going hinges, latches, weather seal, cargo seal. If I don't, I'll do all that and never touch the doors and never mention them. I just wiped out all my credit for that. So I'm going to touch doors, hinges, latches, weather seal, cargo seal. I'm kind of one motion thing. Okay. Also, I'm going to go Vanna White, like she does on Wheel of Fortune. Lights, reflectors, and reflective tape. Okay, that way I didn't miss nothing, right? Because sometimes the reflective tape's everywhere. Sometimes your clearance lights are at the top. Now I'm going to start down here. Ma'am, I have a left turn signal, 4-way flasher, tail light. I have a reflector. I have a brake light, tail light. I've got a tag light. I've got 3 clearance lights. I got a brake light, tail light, reflector, right turn signal, 4-way flasher, tail light. All 4 tail lights. Your signals are on the outside, brake lights in the middle. Okay, I've got reflective tape everywhere. Your tag is current and is secured to the vehicle. This is an ICC or DOT bumper. A little sticker there that actually reminds you it's a DOT bumper. All that means is it's required by the Department of Transportation and the Interstate Commerce Commission. It's designed if somebody were to hit you in the hacienda, it didn't kill them. It's going to catch something solid on the car, like a motor mount or frame or something, right? On the newer ones, they have to go end to end and be 18 inches off the ground or less. Or no more than that. Okay? I'll tell the examiner, I'll check the right side of my vehicle exactly the same way as I did my left side. Don't say trailer, don't say tractor, say vehicle, right? Now, I'm going to ask the examiner, would you like to see the operation of the lights? In that case, you're going to get in the cab and turn the taillights on. The examiner's going to get where they can see both sets of taillights. They're going to go left, right, 4 ways, brake lights. Okay. And, like I said, then we'll close the hood and do the in-cabin air brake. While we're here, let's everybody take a walk that way. Okay, turn to in-cab inspection. Okay. First thing I do is put on my seatbelt. Make sure it's not damaged.
Not you. No.
Make sure that it latches completely, correctly. Okay, the next thing I do is tell them about my emergency equipment. I've got a 10 BC fire extinguisher beside the seat. I've got 3 reflective warning triangles in the storage compartment. I've got spare fuses and circuit breakers in the dash. Now I'm checking my clutch, making sure I have 1.5 inches to 2 inches of free play. That's that loose travel at the top. Make sure the shifter is not excessively loosened or binding, and make sure it's in neutral. Clutch to the floor. Just 1 second.
So we're going to crank it up during the inspection?
Hang on a second. Either one we can do the gauges, right?
Right.
Next thing I do is turn the switch on. I watch the gauges circulate. The ABS light comes on and goes off right away. Now I'll start the engine. And the first thing I look at is the oil pressure. It should go between 5 and 20 psi within 30 seconds. Okay. Right now, the low air warning light and buzzer is on. It'll go off when the air pressure gets above 60. My temperature gauge is beginning a gradual rise. It's actually first, I think. Temperature gauge gradual rise. Oil pressure between 5 and 20 and 30 seconds. Warning light and buzzer is on. Will go off when the pressure gets above 60. Now, to push this button, and up under the mileage is the ammeter voltmeter. It's at 14.2. It's supposed to be between 12 and 15, so it's good. Now, the cruise work on this one, I would set my cruise. Down this one. I'll make the motor idle up a little bit. Now, while everything's building, door glass clean, not broken. Mirrors clean, properly adjusted, not broken. Windshield clean, no cracks in my field of vision, no illegal stickers. If the state has an inspection sticker, it goes here. If the DOT has an inspection sticker, it goes in that one. So any sticker that's out of date or out of place would be illegal. Windshield clean, no cracks in my field of vision, no illegal stickers. Door glass clean, not broken. Mirrors clean, properly adjusted, not broken. I come back, my wiper arms are secure. My wiper blades are secure, not damaged. They operate smoothly with some washer fluid in it, and the washer works properly. While I'm here, I'm going to check the heater and the defroster. Turn it to heat. Make sure it blows out the bottom. Turn it to frost. Make sure it blows out the top. Okay? Right there. And everything else is right in front of me. Air horn. City horn. Freight plane with steering wheel. That's that loose travel before the wheels move. No more than 2 inches or 10 degrees between each wheel. Lights on. Dash lights are working. High beam, low beam indicators working. Get back off. Now the left turn indicator works. The right turn indicator works. Well, this red piece out here for your four-way indicators, they're working. Simple. Signal on, signal off. That's all the intel.
The inspection sticker on the windshield that you were talking about, is that part of our test?
It says no illegal stickers, yes. This one don't have either one.
I don't see anything about it.
Don't say no illegal stickers.
Maybe I'm just looking over this one.
Okay, windshield. Clean, no cracks, free of wheels.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I'm waiting on the air pressure to reach 120 to 125, which is maximum air pressure. Now we're going to the next sheet, which is parking brake test. Next sheet should be parking brake test. Flip it over. Next sheet, which will say parking brake test. Okay. Turns off. Clutch all the way to the floor. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010 with the truck in first gear. Pushing the yellow valve, the red one out. Both hands on the wheel. I'm going to tug once. I'm going to tug twice. That tells me two things. The trailer brakes are holding and I'm properly coupled. Now I'm going to pull the yellow one out. Push the red one in. Both hands on the wheel. Tug once. Tug twice. That tells me the tractor parking brakes are working. Pull both of them out, go back to neutral. I tell the examiner that completes my parking brake test. I'm allowing my air pressure to return to 120 to 125. Allowing the air pressure to return to 120 to 125. My wheels are now chopped. Procedure, air pressure 120 and 125, wheels chock. Push the floor for 10 seconds. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010. First gear, engine off, switch on, valves in. First, off, on, in. Now I'm going to roll down the window and listen. Back up. I'm watching my gauges equalize. Now I want to look for 1 minute and make sure I lose no more than 3 psi within that minute. Now I'm going to apply 90 pounds of pressure. This one has an application gauge. If it doesn't have an application gauge, just press it hard. Okay? I'm going to hold it for 1 more minute. I should lose no more than 4 psi within that minute. Okay, it's been approximately a minute. Now, next step, I'm going to fan my brakes. Somewhere between 90 and 60, the low air warning light and buzzer should sound and appear. Okay, it came on about 70 psi. Now I'm going to continue to fan my brakes somewhere between 20 and 45. First the red tractor protection valve, followed by the yellow parking brake valve will pop out. Okay. This indicates my spring brakes are on. Now I'm going to neutral, turn the switch off, and go to the next page. The next page. Okay. Now I tell the examiner when I get ready to do my road test, okay, I'll have the truck in gear, parking brakes released, loose grip on the wheel. I'll move forward at 5 miles per hour, pushing the clutch to apply the brake. It should not pull left or right, and my ABS light should not come on. Go too far. Right. Surface brake test. Okay, that ensures my surface brakes are working correctly. You don't have to do that, you just have to explain that to them, right?
Right.
Okay, and that's it. Okay.